I started playing Arknights around a week ago. My minute one impression was that the game felt really good to control, had amazing music and creative characters, a really cool world and premise, and despite its front-facing simplicity, I could tell there was apparent depth here. Upon playing for even just 1 hour, a soul-crushing amount of complexity whispered to me from under the surface. This may be one of the most difficult games I've ever played in my life, which if you're an older or veteran player probably makes no sense. I've seen a bunch of videos online claiming the game is very easy. However, I've come to realize from starting and trying many new games over the decades I've been alive, what veteran players think of as easy or effortless is almost always taking their current knowledge pool and built intuition that probably took years to accrue for granted. Things that cannot be conveyed simply to a new player, and which that new player can then immediately get value or observable success from implementing, are not easy. They're knowledge and tech that you suffered to learn over half a decade, and you've now forgotten what that suffering felt like, and have forgotten how hard-fought and hard-earned even the slightest bit of improved understanding truly was for you. Arknights is fucking hard as hell if you're a new player, even if you have experience with adjacent genres and adjacent games. Being a Fire Emblem, Triangle Strategy, and StarCraft Brood War player all at the same time doesn't really help me grasp the fundamentals of this game, because it's so unique from anything else that exists, which I think is a really good thing. It's a huge part of its selling point. And I don't actually believe Arknights is a tower defense either. My opinion is that this classification is a misnomer, born of some mild overlap and similarities to that genre, but Arknights fits much smoother into real-time strategy or strategy RPG in my mind. Arknights represents a means to nuke my confidence as a player and newcomer into abject despair, and it shares this trait with most other games that also have enough requisite complexity in order to admit entry. You must be this tall to ride, but for cognitive burden. What I mean is, it has this damned if you do, damned if you don't quality present in its being, where the game is at once too complex for a new player to learn without a guide in any reasonable time frame, but also the nature of guides is that following the wrong kinds will barely teach you anything at all, and potentially even poison your growth. I have this cold sense inside my chest that the things I really need to learn in order to feel effective and capable seem almost kind of unteachable. There are mission clear videos I can find online, but after watching just one of those, I immediately had this sour taste in my mouth that felt awful. I didn't actually understand why those placements of units, and why those units in particular, and why those timings of using them were winning, whereas mine and my ideas weren't. Arknights is a game where identifying what even was a mistake and how far back you made it can feel depressingly ambiguous. There's so much to understand and so much information to process that it's impossible to realistically grasp as a new player what you should be learning and focusing on, and what's currently a waste of time that doesn't serve to bolster your foundation yet. You wouldn't think a cute little free-to-play gacha game would be capable of inflicting such an emotionally devastating wall on a newcomer, but you would be wrong, and a lot of the advice that seems to get circulated online feels difficult to make use of. Either there are assumptions that I have things which I don't, and players have forgotten how abysmally slow early game progression is when you're a fresh account, or there are videos that use cheap operators that beginning players are likely to have, but those videos don't seem to actually address any of the why or thought process behind the decisions shown, which makes them feel more like an insidious trap than anything else. Maybe I'm simply cooked, but I prefer to understand why my gameplay and my decisions are working or why they're not, because that way I can be a little more ready for the next time something insurmountable arises before me again. I highly doubt this game is going to get any easier, so if I take the easy way out now and use someone else's solution that works without being taught why it works, I can't really see that as anything but the catalyst for future trouble. This is very clearly an extremely good video game, not just for a gacha, but in general, and I reckon it even surpasses a lot of non-gacha games with its overall quality. But as a new player who just wants to learn and enjoy myself, Arknights kind of makes me want to kill myself.